Hi, welcome back. So I just wanted to talk about the concept of fake people with fake information within the Kenny Veach mystery, how to deal with them, because I've come up with a new observation, which I'll explain to you in this video. But firstly, people will respond differently to one another, and when coming across those type of people, fake ones. In DJ's Moore's case, his initial reaction is to do like a background check. So if some person comes along acting all mystical or cryptic, maybe dropping breadcrumbs, drip feeding stuff, DJ Moore's plan is, okay, does this person have a default profile picture? Check. Well, that's not great. Does this person have any videos, any content relevant to what they say on their channel? No? Well, not great whatsoever. Does this individual show their face in any way, show media of themselves talking or talking about that information? No? Well, then again, I'm not going to waste my time anymore with this person. They can piss off. That's his concept, and it makes sense because, you get these so-called experts that turn up and it's like, who do you think you are? Like, okay, you're saying all this, but can you really prove it? Do you have video footage, proper evidence? You know what I'm saying? And they tend not to. Or do they hide behind a screen completely? Are they very anonymous in terms of their username, in terms of their background profile picture? Yes. Well, how can we really trust you? We don't know who you really are, your real identity. What gender are you? Are you faking that? What age are you? Are you faking that? So there's a lot going on. Now, this is where there's a limitation with DJ Moore's theory or concept around dealing with those sort of people, is once in a while you will get maybe experts or people with slightly more knowledge in certain areas, genuine people with real information to pass on. And the reason why they have a default profile picture is maybe because they aren't active on YouTube. They don't see the point of having a proper profile picture. They don't upload videos because they're not active on YouTube. That's not their job. That's not their thing, their hobby. So the only reason why they created an account was maybe to leave comments, because I'm sure you do need an account in the first place to leave a comment on YouTube. So if they're passing on information, they'll have to set one up. Just like with Instagram, some people show up with default profile pictures, or they just don't post anything on their profile, either because of privacy, they don't want anyone to see it, maybe, or it's just because they just wanted to reach out as a one-off, like someone to me, and pass on some information, and that's it, done, dusted. That would be explainable. You could apply it to Susan Veach, and maybe, depending when or where, with Jean at some point. And it might be an age thing as well. I mean, it doesn't always apply, because look at Jay Silverheels. He is older, but he does videos. So it's just one of those things where it's not guaranteed always that profile picture, default, no content on the channel doesn't always mean that they're fake. But, there will be moments where they are fake. So it's trying to deal with that area, the problem around that, surrounding that stuff. How do you deal with it? Well, the observation I made is whether it be more likely in recent time, you could even tie back to the past. If you've got people, individuals showing up either in clusters or, previous, and they're all coming out with different theories. Are people going to say fairies? People seem to misunderstand, some people at least, when I say the word theory, fairy. Maybe it's the way I pronounce it. Maybe my mouth is fucked. Oh well. So, yeah. When it comes to people coming up with these concepts, these conspiracies, these ideas, could be anything. They might be saying, oh, well, that person isn't a real family member. That person's in disguise. It's somebody else. And then they might say, oh, Kenny was kidnapped and captured. It was an inside job. It's all corrupt and a mess. And they might come out with little bits of information. The moment what you observe and pick up on is when those sort of people come in with a certain length of information, you got to look out for one of two things. Either, does the information in the first place make sense? Is it somewhat relevant? Is it actually real? Or is there some kind of, reliability, validity behind it? That's the first thing. And if there is, or it seems like that, or maybe it's more complex, you can't find anything out there, but it could still be true. That has happened in general in life at times. So if you're going down that route, the next step, plan B, is to just see, does it tie in with what somebody else says, or is it a contradiction? If there are contradictions, that is the point where you realize, oh, bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because I have seen it when I look back now, when I observe certain conversations between people, you know, those cryptic people in the past, people that come out with certain warnings or act like they know everything, the experts saying, you need to be careful. You need to watch your bag, man. This is happening right now. It's a murder case. This is what we're dealing with. That's what Sean said at the time, a murder case. And then next thing you know, you got people saying, oh, here's the CCTV footage. This is the witness report. This is what people are saying. And then somebody else is saying, here's the sightings of Kenny in 2016, followed by this, followed by that, by Gene. So what Gene says previously ties in with what people said about the CCTV footage and family members, the concept of he's alive, but then Sean going on about saying we're dealing with a murder case back then. It's like, well, that doesn't tie in. There's contradictions between them. That would mean one is right, the other one is wrong, dead or alive, that concept, okay? So that's what I'm getting at. And in more recent time, when you got people accusing some, you're not who you are, you're actually this person. And then someone else comes in who's also a cryptic person, who is also drip feeding information and acting like they know it, end up arguing with that cryptic person. The original cryptic person who was calling someone out ends up calling the second cryptic person out as a fake. The second cryptic person ends up calling the first cryptic person out as a fake. When you've got an internal conflict, almost like an internal war within, not exactly good. Those foundations crumble and implode on itself. And if there is no consensus between people, you can't believe anything that is said. That is the key observation. So when you've got all these individuals with their independent thoughts and ideas, if they don't tie in with one another, then it's like, well, that's bullshit. You say you know it, you say you're an expert, but then you've got that other expert over there that says the complete opposite of what you're saying, and they're claiming that's what it is. You're claiming that's what that is. But they don't link together, and if they don't link together, then one's wrong, the other one, more than likely, right. And if not that, both are wrong completely. Do you understand what I'm getting at? That's how it works. Now, there are times, there are moments where you get multiple accounts, cryptic ones or default profiles, I said by DJ, who come out all of a sudden and say certain stuff, and they also happen to tie in line with one another. Does that immediately think, okay, well, that's all real. This is where we're getting real now, because you've got frequency, you've got volume because of the amount of people around, and because of the frequency in terms of the repetitiveness, it might be more valid, more reliable, the higher consensus, in agreement with one another. Well, that's something then, right? That could happen. And I want to say this now because this is quite important. You know, with me making this video, and from what I've said, certain degenerates may take in mind this concept and may start changing, okay? I'm already foreshadowing, because sometimes for certain situations, I can, look ahead. Not always for positive, more for negative, just the way it is. What could happen is people end up taking a few extra steps from this video and then start all agreeing with one another. Now, when you see that, it seems it would probably be likely they're fake and it's another ploy to cause diversion, okay? Diversion, is that a correct word? Diversions, yes. That's what could happen. An example, in a sense, not with that following like sheep, following the advice, but moreover to do with the original point I made, was back when we had Beepo, back then, Beepo Purple, he could still be around now, you never know. Back then, created a few videos slandering me. Yeah, in the end it was misunderstanding, but in terms of people that were watching my videos at the time, the odd few ended up supporting Beepo and left comments, and they were all kind of similar, saying, yeah, oh my God, I can't believe Andrew would do that. Oh my God, he's so bad. He's a really bad person. He's this, he's that. And they were all in consensus with one another. And it's like, could this be multiple accounts controlled by one person? Maybe. You see what I'm getting at? It's not always a good thing when people are in consensus. And when it's something like that, it's like, okay, so they're all saying the same thing, so that's kind of good. But, you know, is it like to try and stir something, to pretend, to make something more realistic? You know, the more people that believe in something, the more people that, you know, go in line with a certain thing, it can get someone in trouble. You know, like the Me Too movement. Let's be real, Me Too movement. One person joins in, everyone joins in. If one person says a certain line, oh yes, they did that to me, they did this, they did that, and all that, then other people jump in and say, yeah, same thing. And because there's a high volume of people in consensus, it's more believable, it's taken more serious, and then it gets someone innocent into trouble. That's how it could have happened on YouTube in my situation. Small microcosm. That's what it was at the end of the day. So there is that. Not saying that I was involved in the Me Too movement, because who would want anything to do with me? Not that gender. I'm only joking. But in terms of the slander aspect, that could have gone downhill. Possibly. What would I say? Is there a more recent one? Not quite, but after that, midway through, we had waves, for some weird reason, waves of Turkish accounts or some kind of Arabic accounts out of nowhere. You know, you had some female with a certain name, Turkish name, a male followed by another male. Very random, and they were all saying negative stuff towards me. I couldn't give a fuck, to be honest. Okay, say what you say, fuck off, bye, hello, hi, bye, that's it. Wasn't so much the language they were using in that sense, it was just the sense they were all coming out with something similar, something negative, criticising me. And it's like, why all of a sudden? Why in one go? It was like literally within a few seconds of one another during one day. They just all appeared out of nowhere, all these multiple foreign accounts. That is dodgy. So yes, there was a collective group of people supposedly all saying the same thing or talking about the same thing, but it was still dodgy, because it's like, it's something that doesn't always happen, and it's like, you know, it's someone controlling multiple accounts. That's what I'm getting at. It does become a bit more technical and a bit more complex when, from the way they look, not visually, but the information they pass on. You know, even if it was a load of bullshit, sometimes people can word it very well. Some people can add in facts, dates, stats, and it seems more believable. Moments there, it is more complex. But if you had a group of those people, which hasn't happened yet, if you had a group of those all coming out with facts, statistics, let's just use an example, such as Accord Research in the 70s and 80s going out there looking for high frequency bandwidths and stuff down Dead Man Canyon. Okay, Gene said that. But did anyone else bring that up ever? No. But if other people did, not at the same time, but over time, in a few months period, it would be more believable, would it not? Sure, people can still really plan stuff to make it look real, but it would just be a bit more believable, would it not? If more than one person comes out with the same stats, the same facts, but not at the same time, spread out, then that would be more believable. We've not had that though, not in that regard. Sure, in terms of normal viewers that come and go and watch, they can be in consensus and say stuff genuine, and yeah, it does make sense. You know, let's say with CCTV footage at some point, or let's say with the keyhole, at a certain point, uncertainty. A range of people at different moments and points were saying, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, but it's not the best quality, it's kind of hard to tell. And you know, a mix of people came out with that response, and it's like, fair enough, makes sense, understandable. And obviously you had the opposite of people saying what they said. So that was more genuine. It wasn't to do with passing on information or acting cryptic. It was just a response. It was more of a response. It wasn't giving, it was just a response, but it was a genuine response. In terms of giving, that's where the dodginess lies. And as with what I've said completely before previously in this video, all what I've said, the observation of, is there consistency with what one individual says? Is there frequency in what maybe multiple people say? If it's all done at the same time in a short space of time and they're all in agreement, then it's more likely dodgy and they could be controlling multiple accounts. If it's spread out over time and there's a range of people coming out with the same information, it's more believable. Best example I can give is people telling the regurgitated story of Kenny Veach. Once there was a hiker in Las Vegas. He went out there hiking for an M cave. It was shaped, it was deep and dark. And then one day he went missing on November the 10th. Never seen before again. The end. When people say that, which is a fact from what we've been told and from the news reports and the missing person report on, is it Name Us or NAM US? Whichever way you say it. That makes more sense. Sure, people say, oh yeah, it's a regurgitated story. Well, yeah, it is, but at least people are saying keeping to the same story, obviously, because that's why it is, but sticking to the same story is necessary. You start switching and changing, it's like, oh, well, that's not good. We don't believe in you. Not great, is it? If some people say it one way and another group of people say it the other way, like some people say, oh, he went missing on the 10th, and then other people say, oh, he went missing on the 17th. It's like, well, this ain't making sense, is it? But that's not the case in that regard, because people are just reading from what they've been told on the news and the reports, sticking to one thing. Just that reliability when looking at it. So hopefully that makes sense. I mean, people will have their own methods and actions when it comes to people. Some people will be high level, high alert, very cautious, on the edge, maybe. And other people might be somewhat naive. Sure, people can say, oh, it's bad to be naive, but at the end of the day, yes, there are negatives to that, but the positive is it just shows that you are a genuine person and you do care regardless. No matter the situation, you care enough to listen to someone. You care enough to trust someone. So it's not all bad. Yes, it can make you a bit vulnerable, but it means you're a good person. As for me, I don't know where I would sit. I won't say naive. No, not that. It's just more to do with listening constantly, just in case, on the odd chance, a genuine person shows up. Because knowing my luck, yes, knowing my luck in any given situation, if I suddenly stop or I change or something, then something happens. You could say, well, that's good then if it's something good. Yes, technically speaking, but I'm talking about the negatives. Random example, playing not actual football, but fantasy football, where you select a draft, you select your players for your team for the upcoming game week. You've got certain players going to play, oh, they score a goal or they might do really bad. And at times they've done really bad and I'm like, oh, do you know what? I'm sick of this. So I'm going to transfer the player out, bring somebody else in. There we go for the next match. And guess what happens? The person who I got rid of, the person who I finally gave up on, the person who I finally, changed, ended up doing well. And I missed out. So that's just like an example I would use in my case. So that's why I do what I do. So you can let me know what you think down below in the comment section. And yeah, just doing these little, well, can't say miniature because it's a long video, but just little filler in videos in between, because I need to be in focus to be able to coherently speak when I do upload some other videos. And it's actually quite good uploading this video now because it's going to tie in with the next video I make, more in contrast, but in a sense it does clear things up. It does clear things up, and it's kind of interesting too, and it might reinforce certain things, and it's all still tying on with the whole really robbing situation, the mine shaft, the skull, and what's going down at the moment and what has gone down. Okay, so hopefully you're ready for that video. I'll be uploading that maybe tomorrow or the day after, we'll see. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.